What if Earth was suddenly struck by a gamma ray? In the second before the gamma ray reaches Earth, you would notice a sudden appearance of a sun in the sky. But it is 100 times more dazzling than the sun. That is the gamma ray. The moment it hits Earth, it will first destroy the entire atmosphere, causing global temperatures to skyrocket and triggering a chain reaction. Tsunamis, earthquakes, extreme heat, and other natural disasters will follow one after another. All electronic devices manufactured by humans will instantly lose control. Tens of thousands of humans on Earth will die in droves as the DNA inside their bodies is completely shattered by gamma rays, causing the failure of all organs. But the disaster brought by gamma rays is far more than that. The destroyed air molecules in the atmosphere recombine into harmful gases. These gases replace the original atmosphere, blocking the heat emitted by the sun. When harmful gases accumulate to a certain concentration, a thunderstorm and acid rain of unprecedented scale will fall globally. Darkness descends. Earth plunges into an ice age once again. You originally thought these were all plots that would only appear in novels, but unexpectedly during a space mission the scene of Earth being struck by a gamma ray actually unfolded vividly before your eyes. You were preparing to return to Earth from outer space when a crimson gamma ray pierced straight through the blue planet. Earth lost all its vitality in a short period of time and slowly began to break apart. Humans, having lost their only home, had no choice but to embark on a journey to find the next planet to migrate to. You originally planned to go to Mars, but were stopped by the accompanying AI Luo Ling. Luo Ling learned through precise calculations that the gamma ray had changed the gravitational structure of the entire solar system, and this chaotic gravity would pull all celestial bodies in the solar system toward the center of the sun. The destruction of Mars was only a matter of time. With things as they were, you could only turn your attention to planets outside the solar system. After days of repeated discussions between you and Luo Ling, you finally decided to set the colonization target as Chensixing. It is a star outside the solar system that was once affectionately called Earth's twin brother by scientists. But the problem followed. The time required to travel to Chensixing is as long as 30,000 years. Given your current human lifespan, this is simply a fantasy. You are well aware that to successfully reach Chensixing, you must overcome two difficulties. One is how to shorten the 30,000-year journey, and the other is how to extend the limited human lifespan long enough. After much thought, you finally came up with a contingency plan to dock the spaceship on a nearby small star, using the resources of the small star to build the necessary factories, thereby increasing the speed of the spaceship, and at the same time producing cryosleep pods. To freeze your life, wake up when needed. This is the best solution you can think of at the moment. Time passed quickly. Before you knew it, you had spent a full 80 years on the small star. During these 80 years, Luo Ling constantly created tens of thousands of robots to increase productivity. The factories on the small star had expanded to more than 7,000, and the original spaceship had also been fully upgraded and renamed the Dawn warship. Because it was equipped with a third-generation controlled nuclear fusion engine, Chensixing, which originally required 30,000 years to reach, now only requires 1,500. The cryosleep pods were also produced simultaneously. After everything was ready, you planned to urgently evacuate this small star. According to Luo Ling's observations, Earth and some celestial bodies were about to reach the center of the sun, which would trigger extremely strong solar storms. Given the current location of this small star, it would be directly destroyed by the solar storm. Dozens of days after leaving the small star factory, you encountered Jupiter. Seeing Jupiter, you thought of the scientists on Earth and their speculation about the interior of Jupiter's moons. The surface of Europa is covered by a thick layer of ice, and beneath the ice layer, there is likely to be a liquid ocean hidden. According to Earth's experience, where there is water, there may be life. You immediately dispatched 30 drones to explore, one to collect life samples on Europa, and the other to replenish a large amount of liquid water for the spaceship. The 30 drones quickly landed on the surface of Europa. Through the camera, you could see its topography clearly. As expected, it was a vast snowfield. After the drones reached the designated location, they immediately began to dig deep beneath the ice layer. After digging for about 57 kilometers, they finally broke through the ice layer and came to a world of blue water. After electromagnetic detection, the total depth of the ice layer and water on Europa is about 113 kilometers, which is 102 kilometers deeper than the deepest part of the ocean on Earth. The drones then began to perform the water storage task. Through the study of water samples, you found that there really are microorganisms in this liquid ocean. Its shape is very similar to that of paramecium on Earth, only it is more than 10 times larger. If conditions allow, perhaps in hundreds of millions of years, new intelligent life could really be born on Europa. Just then, Luo Ling ran towards you with a panicked expression. The the spaceship detected that the sun had become extremely dazzling in a short period of time. Earth and some celestial bodies should have reached the center of the sun. A strong solar storm is coming. You stared intently at the energy value on the screen. In just an instant, the sun's energy soared from the baseline to 10,000. In just 10 seconds, the sun released energy equivalent to 150 billion hydrogen bombs. Exploding at the same time, you immediately pulled the spaceship speed to the maximum. Fortunately, the Dawn's top speed reaches 760 kilometers per second, while the speed of the solar shockwave is only 679 kilometers per second. After temporarily escaping the solar storm, you plan to enter cryosleep. The spaceship still needs several decades to completely escape the coverage of the solar storm. You don't want to waste this time in vain. You then hand over control to Luo Ling. Lying in the cryogenic pod, you fell into a deep sleep, but this hibernation was particularly dangerous, almost killing you on the way to Xing. Time flies, and 288 years have passed in the blink of an eye. During this period, the spaceship was hit by the aftershocks of 6 solar storms, but each time Luo Ling managed to turn the danger into safety, and finally you successfully escaped the shroud of the solar storm. Just when Luo Ling was rejoicing over the narrow escape, the spaceship was suddenly attacked by unidentified objects. Helplessly, Luo Ling could only wake you up early from hibernation. An alien civilization was discovered 0.7 astronomical units away. At this moment, the spaceship is under attack. Beams of deep red laser light are striking towards the Dawnbreaker head-on. The alloy shell of the spaceship was quickly melted away in the face of the opponent's laser weapons. You ran to the cockpit in a panic and finally saw the opponent's figure through the large screen. It was a fleet. The main ship was a bio-warship shaped like an octopus, surrounded by several accompanying ships. The laser that attacked the Dawnbreaker was emitted from these warships. You immediately asked Luo Ling, "Can the weapons on our spaceship fight back?" "No, our weapons and their weapons are not at the same level at all." Seeing that you could only be passively beaten, you immediately turned the Dawnbreaker around and went full speed to get rid of the enemy fleet. According to Luo Ling's analysis report, the opponent's maximum speed is only 535 kilometers per second, which is an extremely high speed, but you were surprised to find that although their warships couldn't catch up with the Dawnbreaker, their lasers could. At this time, the outer shell of the spaceship had been riddled with holes. Fortunately, as the distance continued to increase, those lasers became easier to dodge. This chase lasted for a full 21 days. The opponent finally stopped chasing, but the Dawnbreaker also paid a heavy price. 2/5 of the entire warship was severely damaged, but, based on the characteristics of those lasers just now, you remembered something. A long time ago, you were hit by similar lasers at the asteroid factory. Now it seems that it was from this civilization. Looking at the severely damaged Dawnbreaker, you decided not to be polite to this group of alien civilizations anymore. Luo Ling, produce probes with all your might. I want you to find out the location of this civilization, as well as their civilization type and life form. You plan to create a weapon specifically targeting them based on this information. After receiving the order, Luo Ling quickly designed a special long-range reconnaissance aircraft. Its core capability is signal shielding, which can make all electronic devices of the enemy unable to capture it. Finally, after 4 years of space travel, the reconnaissance aircraft captured an unusual planet in the dark starry sky. Luo Ling learned through calculation that the surface area of the planet is about 8.91 square kilometers, and it is very likely that intelligent life exists. After months of in-depth investigation of the planet by the reconnaissance aircraft, Luo Ling's deduction was finally confirmed. The surface of the planet is covered with a large number of frequently active volcanoes, with extremely rich geothermal resources. In the low-lying areas of the volcanic terrain, there are large and small buildings. This creature is likely a civilization and race that relies on geothermal energy to exist. At this time, you noticed an image in the returned pictures that didn't look like a building. You asked Luo Ling to enlarge it. The enlarged picture made you furious. It was the enemy spaceship that attacked the Dawnbreaker before. According to the picture, it is estimated that there are at least several thousand ships, and on their octopus-shaped warships, there was even a communication image of the Dawnbreaker prominently displayed. It seems that they plan to carry out a carpet search of the star field to find us and completely eliminate us. As soon as the words fell, a laser beam shot down the reconnaissance aircraft. They seemed to have discovered its existence. However, the information that the reconnaissance aircraft has already transmitted is enough for you to deal with them. This civilization is a geothermal civilization, which means they are extremely dependent on volcanic heat for survival, and the heat generated by volcanoes is provided by the Earth's core. We can create a special missile that can cool the planet's core to curb the heat of volcanic eruptions. This is likely to put this civilization into a short-term stagnation. Luo Ling designed a special nuclear bomb based on your idea. This missile, equipped with a nuclear drill change, can easily penetrate into the planet's core. After reaching the Earth's core, the energy generated by the explosion will turn all the active volcanoes on the surface into dormant volcanoes. Such a nuclear bomb can cool the planet for up to 40 years. After listening, you shook your head. The cooling time is too short. You must know that this is an interstellar war. Only stagnating them for 40 years will have a negligible impact. We need at least 10 of these nuclear bombs. Now that we've decided to go to war, we must leave ourselves sufficient time to develop. Luo Ling, if we proceed with this plan, how long will it take you to produce these nuclear bombs? Luo Ling says that with the current technology on the ship, it is not possible to produce them. It is estimated that it will take 30 years to develop. Hearing this, you fall into deep thought. You are very clear that in its current state after the dawn, the ship can no longer continue sailing. We must find a place to repair the hull, and producing nuclear bombs requires a considerable scale of factories. It's impossible to do it on the spaceship at all. Then you decide to dock the spaceship on a nearby rogue planet, Warship Star, both to repair the hull and to build a factory capable of producing nuclear bombs. As soon as the spaceship landed on the surface of Warship Star, Luo Ling controlled tens of thousands of robots to start repairing the dawn, and you re-entered the cryogenic chamber to sleep. You are now 41 years old. We can't waste too much time. The next time I wake up from the cryogenic chamber, it will be the beginning of interstellar war. 30 years passed in the blink of an eye. In 3021 AD, Luo Ling awakened you from the cryogenic chamber. The first thing you notice upon waking is the aging of your physical skills. You start to feel a little powerless, but at this time, Luo Ling has made initial breakthroughs. There are currently 2 feasible plans for the human lifespan limit. The first method is to upload your consciousness into a brand new artificial intelligence body. This way, you can have near-infinite lifespan like me, but I still lack test subjects. I can't guarantee that the you after uploading your consciousness will still be the you are now. The second method is genetic modification. Human genes themselves hinder the possibility of longer lifespans. Only at the gene level can a thorough modification be carried out to transform you into a non-human to achieve the effect of extending lifespan. But in order to ensure the feasibility of genetic modification, I also need some test subjects to verify it. Hearing this, you sigh. On this spaceship, there is only you left as a living being. We can't use ourselves as test subjects. This is what Luo Ling proposed. Once we occupy the geothermal civilization of the Tentacle Tribe, we will capture some of the residents of that planet as biological research material. Hearing this method, you are silent for a moment, nodding silently in agreement with Luo Ling's proposal. After going around for a long time, we still have to go to war with this alien civilization. Luo Ling leads you out of the spaceship. In front of you are several missiles enough to freeze the hostile planet for 40 years. Ice-sealing bombs. During the 30 years I spent developing these missiles, the Tentacle Tribe didn't sit idle either. The star field we are in has suffered 5 search attacks from them. Fortunately, the location of Warship Star is relatively remote. They haven't found us yet. So far, you have no complaints about the abilities that Luo Ling has shown. But then you notice something that made you deeply worried. In these long 30 years, Dawn has still not been equipped with a new weapon system. Although we have developed ice-sealing bombs, after freezing their planet, we must use this window of opportunity to vigorously develop the weapon systems of Dawn, and also build a fleet that belongs to us. Only in this way can we reach Chensi Star more safely. Luo Ling notes your order, and takes out the missile launch device from behind. You only need to press this button, and the missile will lock onto the target planet and strike. It is expected to arrive at the coordinates in half a month. You slowly take the launcher from Luo Ling's hand, but just as your finger is about to press down, you hesitate, a seemingly simple press, but it concerns the lives on an entire planet. Luo Ling, seeing your hesitation, immediately reminds you, don't be merciful to those you consider enemies. Maybe their warships are still chasing us across the starry sky. Either we destroy them, or we will be destroyed by them. Hearing this, you no longer hesitate. Immediately press the device to launch the missile. Because there is no gravitational constraint, the missile flies out into space almost instantly. After launching the first missile, you look at the remaining ice-sealing bombs. Then, every 39 years, launch one at the target planet, until they are all launched. At the same time, on the other end of the universe, on the homeworld of the Tentacle Tribe, the natives also noticed the missile flying towards them. Just then, the alarm on Luo Ling suddenly rang. It was an alarm from a reconnaissance plane lurking near the hostile planet. You immediately open the control panel to check. you discover that the trajectory of the missile that was just launched has been captured by them. At this moment, the warships on the Tentacle Tribe's planet are starting up one by one, heading into space. You originally thought they were preparing to intercept the missile collectively, but the next second, their actions, however, earned your genuine admiration, as countless warships flew into space. But the first thing they did wasn't to intercept the missile. Instead, they followed its trajectory towards your Chenxi Xing coordinates. It turns out, during your 40 years of low-key development, the Chuzhu race had also been searching for you for 40 years. Now that you've actively revealed your location, they'll never let this opportunity pass. However, the Chuzhu race also won't allow that missile to hit their homeworld. Regarding this incoming missile, they decided to activate ground-based laser weapons to intercept and detonate it. Upon learning this news, you were completely stunned. Currently, the Pashao isn't equipped with any weapon systems. The only weapon is the remaining 9 ice-sealing bombs. If their fleet arrives here, it's completely over. At this moment, Luo Ling calmed you down, telling you not to panic. Luo Ling can confidently tell you that these fleets flying towards us will eventually turn back. You were puzzled by this, but Luo Ling only told you to wait quietly. Eventually, after a long journey, the missile, as expected, reached the skies above the Chuzhu race's homeworld. The Chuzhu race also activated their ground-based laser weapons, aiming them all at the missile, ready to strike at any moment. Just as the missile broke through the atmosphere and entered the planet, the ground-based laser weapons began their collective attack. Just when they thought they could directly detonate the missile, something world-shattering appeared. The lasers hitting the missile were actually all reflected back. Turns out that when Luo Ling designed this missile, she added a special material that could reflect lasers to its outer shell. After all, the Pashao had already suffered this loss before. Seeing that the lasers were ineffective, the Chuzhu race immediately dispatched the remaining ships to ram into the missile in an attempt to detonate it directly, but they still underestimated the missile's hardness. A missile that could directly penetrate the planet's strata couldn't be stopped by spaceships. As expected, the ships disintegrated the moment they came into contact with the missile. Seeing this scene, the Chuzhu race began to panic. Faced with this missile that defied their understanding, they felt a deep sense of powerlessness, but the Chuzhu race quickly came up with a countermeasure. The missile, about to hit the ground, suddenly changed direction and flew towards outer space. You quickly realized that this was a magnetic weapon. Although it couldn't detonate the missile, it could interfere with its flight trajectory. Seeing that the electromagnetic weapon was working, the Chuzhu race immediately issued a threat to you. You inferior alien civilization, how dare you launch an attack against us? When we catch you, I'm going to make you into specimens. Luo Ling, upon hearing their threat, immediately retorted, "You Chuzhu freak, how dare you call me an inferior civilization? You just wait, I'm going to freeze you into ice sculptures right now, and then bring you back to make dumplings for the captain." You were very surprised that Luo Ling could understand the Chuzhu race's language. Luo Ling explained, "In these 40 years, I secretly learned their language by infiltrating reconnaissance planes on enemy planets." No sooner had she finished speaking than Luo Ling pulled out a new activation device from behind her. "When I designed the ice-sealing bomb, I already had a backup plan. Because the other side's civilization level is the same as ours, both belonging to level 1 civilizations, it's highly likely that they have mastered signal shielding or signal misdirection technologies. The magnetic device just now used signal misdirection." Luo Ling raised the device in her hand and continued, "This is a heat source induction activator. After activation, the missile will automatically analyze where the current planet's largest heat source point is and move towards that location. And this planet's largest heat source point is the core." As Luo Ling pressed the induction device, the missile on the enemy planet immediately changed direction and violently rushed towards the planet's core. The Chuzhu race, seeing the scene, completely lost their composure and immediately called the fleet that was heading towards your planet, requesting them to immediately return and intercept the missile. Upon receiving the order, the fleet immediately turned around and sped back towards their homeworld, but at this time, the fleet that was turning back was already too late. The missile had already collided with the surface. About 12 minutes later, it reached the location of the core. The scalding magma directly triggered the missile's detonation device. However, this power, enough to make the entire planet tremble, didn't stir up a single wave of air or any dust. Only a cold storm, from the depths of the core, rose to the surface. Countless volcanoes, in an instant, turned into icebergs. Cold assassin, this is what the creatures on this planet. The only thing that could be felt this day, for the entire geothermal civilization, was an apocalypse, a terrifying and rapid extreme low temperature, causing the creatures on the planet to have no reaction time at all, and in an instant they were frozen into ice sculptures. Their total population died by nearly 2/3 in just one day. Fortunately, however, they did not completely rely on the heat generated by volcanoes, but simultaneously developed nuclear energy, and with the power supply of nuclear energy, a portion of life was spared from the cold, and only half a month passed. The entire planet was also within your expectations. You never expected to wipe them out with just ice-sealing bombs. Freezing the planet was only to stagnate their civilization. From now on, for the next 400 years, their civilization will remain stagnant, and during these 400 years you will build your own space fleet, and at that time you will once again declare war on this alien civilization. You are quite satisfied with the progress of the overall plan so far. Next, you only need to hand over the next 400 years to Luo Ling and time. After all, as a human, it is impossible to have such a long lifespan. As usual, you enter the cryogenic pod again, and fall into a deep hibernation. In a daze for 100 years passed swiftly, but to you it was as if you had only slept. Because of being in deep space, the previous clocks no longer record hours and all died. Replaced by stellar force commemoration, it is now the year 3758 AD. Luo Ling was overjoyed to see you wake up. Welcome, Captain. Back to my side on this day 400 years later. Subsequently, Luo Ling reported to you the results of the past 400 years. First of all, the maximum speed of the Dawn has been increased to 1,222 kilometers per second, and the hull can carry 48 small ice-sealing bombs. And the most important thing is our first fleet. I have completed it. The first fleet is led by the Dawn as its flagship, equipped with 12 1,200-meter strategic ships, 5 1,400-meter star cruisers, 6 800-meter frigates, 4 2,400-meter storm ships, and 16 500-meter destroyers, a total of 44 ships. Strategic ships have the highest firepower, equipped with powerful main guns. Star cruisers have the highest maneuverability, with a maximum speed of 1,455 kilometers per second. Frigates have the strongest defense. The main weapon is defensive missiles, and they are equipped with the latest electromagnetic field shields, which can effectively distort lasers. Storm ships house 40 of the latest Sirius fighters, with both attack and reconnaissance capabilities. Destroyers carry offensive and defensive 2 attack modes, and can be used as subsidiary battleships when firepower is insufficient. However, in these 400 years, the first fleet was not Luo Ling's main research object. Luo Ling's true dedication was to the Dawn's main gun, the Annihilation main gun, also known as the antimatter annihilation cannon. Hearing the word antimatter, you immediately thought of the topic that scientists on Earth had mentioned, that just 1 gram of antimatter releases enough energy to easily turn any city on Earth into dust in an instant. Now that Luo Ling has made it into a cannon, its power will be unimaginable. Now you have the ability to fight against a civilization, or even an entire planet. But compared to these, you are currently more concerned about the situation of the enemy civilization, and Luo Ling immediately made a report. In these 400 years, I have launched all of the graphite ice-sealing bombs and sent out a reconnaissance team to investigate enemy intelligence. The investigation revealed that after our continuous attacks with ice-sealing bombs, their civilization has been severely stagnated. In these 400 years, they have only completed 3 rounds of technological advancement, equivalent to the amount of technological progress originally made in 47 years. In addition, I have also added nuclear weapons to the second-generation reconnaissance aircraft, and when the reconnaissance mission is completed, they will launch attacks on the Zhuzu's buildings. But now that the ice-sealing bomb attacks have stopped, the topography of their planet has returned to its original geothermal environment. Hearing this, you have a question. Do we now have the ability to launch a full-scale attack on the enemy civilization? Luo Ling replied, if we only rely on the fleet and ice-sealing bombs, our win rate is only 60%. But with the addition of the Annihilation main gun, our win rate can be increased to 90%. Hearing that there is a 90% chance of winning, you think now is the best time, although it is impossible to achieve 100%. But if you delay any longer, the other civilization will also develop, and the longer you delay, the lower the win rate will be. The opposing civilization will also develop. The longer we delay, the lower our chances of victory become. You roughly calculated the time. It is now 3758 AD when they first attacked. It was approximately 2806 AD, meaning nearly 1,000 years have passed. It truly fulfills the old saying, a gentleman takes revenge, even after 1,000 years. After confirming the attack, you immediately issued orders to Luo Ling. Before the attack, inspect all fleets and main guns thoroughly. We will launch a general attack on this civilization soon. On the other side of the universe, the entire Chuzhou civilization, after experiencing your 400 years of ice blockade, has become extremely cautious with its defense systems, fearing another attack. At this time, they no longer rely on volcanic heat for survival, but have fully switched to nuclear power. Just as the Chuzhu were becoming slightly lax due to hundreds of years of stability, their alarm suddenly sounded. Turned out that the fleet that hurried back 400 years ago did not all return to the home planet but left a portion, lurking around the Era star where you were secretly monitoring. The alarm that just sounded was sent back by those ships hidden near you because at this time you are leading the first fleet, majestically leaving the planet, heading aggressively toward them. Instantly, countless warships began to ascend from the Chuzhu home planet. They quickly locked onto your location. Now their laser weapons have been upgraded, not only increasing the range but also improving the power by several levels. They are confident that they can directly detonate the missiles you launch. With the order to fire given, countless lasers shot out from the planet's surface, attacking the direction of your fleet. In less than a few days, the lasers reached the location of your warships. Luo Ling immediately detected the incoming beams and ordered the escort ships to attach to the front of the Dawn, deploying electromagnetic shields across the board. The electromagnetic field shield instantly opened, directly blocking the lasers. Captain, you are not being polite either. Since the enemy welcomes us with lasers, we have to send them a greeting gift as well. Let all strategic ships and star cruisers launch ice-sealing bombs. In this way, you withstand their laser bombardment, while returning several ice-sealing bombs. However, this time your target is not the planet itself, but the fleet guarding in front of their planet. Before we reach their planet, eliminate all these fleets. The ice-sealing bombs traveled for several days, finally reaching the fleet's location. With a series of explosions, several Chuzhu warships were covered in ice, losing power and slowly falling towards the star's surface. At this time, the distance between the two sides is less than 1.4 astronomical units. You turn to ask Luo Ling, this distance, can the Annihilation main gun reach? Luo Ling nodded, yes it can. Then activate it, give them back a big gift. As Luo Ling pressed the activation button, the Annihilation main gun began to charge. During the charging process, the electromagnetic thrusters of the entire fleet stopped firing, absorbing the energy of all controllable fusion devices to supply the Annihilation main gun. After about 10 hours of charging, the antimatter energy was filled, with a filling energy of 408 kilograms. With your order to fire, a huge beam of light struck the Chuzhu's home planet directly. Half of the planet was engulfed by the light, immediately triggering a massive explosion. The terrifying explosive yield reached 17.5 billion tons. The shockwave, composed of dust and gravel, destroyed countless ships at 10 times the speed of sound. The Chuzhu fleet in outer space, seeing this scene, were all too scared to move, but you do not intend to stop there, still driving the fleet group towards their planet. 30 hours later, the 12 strategic ships at the forefront encountered enemy warships head-on. As the saying goes, enemies meeting are especially furious. The Chuzhu warships, upon discovering you, began to frantically output with a large number of laser weapons. They confidently believed that they could attack you like they did Dawn before, driving you away in disarray. But times have changed. The strategic ships under Luo Ling's control skillfully dodged all the lasers. Luo Ling's absolute calculation ability, after hundreds of years of upgrades, is no longer the intelligent program that would panic. As the distance between the strategic ships and the enemy warships grew closer, Luo Ling pressed the launch button without hesitation. Dozens of warships fired ice-sealing bombs simultaneously, accompanied by countless armor-piercing bombs. The Chuzhu main ship did not react in time and was directly torn open by the armor-piercing bombs. Then it was hit by several ice-sealing bombs, and instantly frozen into a huge ice sculpture. The surrounding enemy warships, seeing the main ship fall, dared not act rashly. Seeing this situation, you told Luo Ling to increase the firepower and continue the output. Blow them all up. But then an accident happened. Luo Ling discovered that the attack systems on all strategic ships suddenly all malfunctioned and stopped attacking through the strategic ships targeting heads. You probably guessed the truth. It's probably the doing of those negative warships. On their hulls, eerie red light emanated. Luo Ling analyzed and concluded that these lights were not ordinary light, but gamma rays, a kind of high-energy ray. Under the impact of this ray, all the systems on our warships were interfered with. However, when the tentacle tribe used this trick, there was also a drawback. The negative warships releasing gamma rays could not launch any attacks during this period, but they also had a countermeasure in mind. First, use these warships to paralyze your weapon systems, preventing you from moving. Then use the ground-based laser weapons to directly blow up the strategic ships. But at this time, Luo Ling was not flustered at all. I never said that only strategic ships have attack methods. Luo Ling transferred control of the entire line, from the strategic ships in the front to the 4 Gale-Tide ships in the rear, and opened all the Gale-Tide ship compartments. All the serious fighters were dispatched to destroy the enemy warships at close range. From the 4 Gale-Tide ships, a total of 1,200 serious fighters were dispatched in full force. The tentacle tribe interfered with the attack systems, not the control systems. The enemy warships were stunned when they saw so many warplanes pouring in from all directions. The ground-based laser weapons didn't know which one to aim at. At this time, a tentacle tribe commander began to loudly command, "Don't worry about these little things. Such small things. What kind of lethality can they have? Directly aim at their main warships and shoot them down." Just as the laser weapons were aiming at the strategic ships, preparing to fire, a huge explosion interrupted their attack, directly targeting those replicating warships responsible for releasing gamma-ray interference. Were being rapidly destroyed, and it was the serious fighters that were destroying these replicating warships. It turned out that Luo Ling had loaded 100 antimatter bombs into each serious fighter, the explosive power of which could reach more than 4 million tons of TNT equivalent. In just a moment, nearly 400 tentacle tribe warships were blown to almost nothing. At the same time, the strategic ships, which had lost interference, regained their systems. Luo Ling immediately targeted the remaining warships, launched an attack. All 240 Tempest bombs were fired, directly blasting the remaining warships into nothing but weapon scraps. The commander on the tentacle tribe planet, looking at this scene, suddenly had some connection. Why not? Luo Ling, ask them if they will surrender. If they surrender, we won't fight anymore. Luo Ling firmly replied, I don't think they will surrender, unless we eliminate all of their remaining armed forces. Only then will the remaining civilians be likely to surrender to us. We have already killed them. Nearly 200 million lives. You nodded, unifying Luo Ling's judgment. Then go ahead and do it. We've already killed so many, it doesn't matter if we kill a few more. After Luo Ling received your instructions, she began to control several second-generation reconnaissance aircraft, heading towards the planet's surface. Luo Ling's goal was the laser weapons on the planet. Only by eliminating all of these can the Dawnbreaker safely sail into this planet. At this time, some armed forces on the planet were still unwilling to give up, preparing to restart the ground-based laser weapons. Just as they approached the activation device, the second-generation reconnaissance aircraft had already arrived at the location and launched an attack directly. Along with the armed forces and the laser weapons were all blown up together. Within just a few hours, all the laser weapons on the planet were completely eliminated, and for those unarmed civilians, the reconnaissance aircraft only obeyed Luo Ling's orders, telling them all to gather together. There are things I want to say to you. Before long, many civilians who were willing to accept surrender had gathered. Now put down all the weapons in your hands and come to the location I specify, those who do not arrive within the specified time. Starting from that day, we will carry out a new round of cleaning on the planet, implementing a civilization extermination plan. The message has been sent. Tens of thousands of tentacle tribe lives walked out of the destroyed buildings, raising their hands, indicating surrender. After confirming that the planet could be colonized, you gave the civilization a new name, Gentlefoot Tribe. Immediately afterwards, you let Luo Ling formulate a series of policies. To control this race, the most crucial point is targeting the next generation of Roju group. Implement a human civilization fairy tale policy. To put it simply, it's to make the next generation of Roju group's children learn Chinese characters. Of course, writing is just the first step. Next, it is also necessary to compile books that describe the great history of human civilization in writing, and in these books, include the Roju group's content, because within their own civilization, there was cruel tyranny. Countless Roju group creatures suffered terribly. A scholar from the Roju group sent out a light signal for help towards the deep space, which was captured by human civilization. Human civilization then dispatched a fleet, crossing several light years of distance to arrive here. To rescue the Roju group, you have to shape yourself into a hero who saves the Roju group. After Luo Ling noted down these things you told her, she reminded you of the initial purpose of occupying this planet. Find a way to break the human lifespan limit from the Roju group. The average lifespan of this alien civilization is around 400 years. I have already extracted their relevant longevity genes. Combined with the most comprehensive protein structure database from the Earth era, it is analyzed that, as long as the longevity genes of this creature are applied to you, theoretically your lifespan can be increased to 620 years, but these are currently just my speculations. I still need 5 years to do experiments. Hearing these words, you began to feel a little excited, although Luo Ling now cannot guarantee the feasibility of increasing your lifespan, but you have absolute trust in what Luo Ling says. After all, capturing the Roju group was basically all Luo Ling's credit. Even overcoming the difficulty of occupying a civilization, breaking the lifespan limit, is only a matter of time. Then you told Luo Ling to go ahead and do it. Not just 5 years, but even 10 years would be fine. After things were settled, Luo Ling officially started in-depth research on genetics. Time passed quickly, and 5 years flew by in the blink of an eye. Eventually, Luo Ling also achieved the expected results. In these 5 years, Luo Ling conducted research on a total of 1838 Roju group samples and from the collected information, developed the Yongxi drug, also known as gene modification drug, which will be used in gene surgery later, to implant the Yongxi drug into your genes, and after the whole-body gene replacement, your lifespan can be increased to 620 years. Hearing this, your heart suddenly skipped a beat because you knew very well what whole-body gene replacement meant. Even minor changes in genes can lead to the birth of a completely new species. For example, the genes of rats on Earth have a similarity to human genes of more than 95%. Just because of that little gene difference, it has created two completely different species. You were worried that after the gene surgery, your appearance would change. But then you suddenly realized a problem. You, as the only surviving human appearance doesn't seem that important anymore, does it? Luo Ling saw your concerns and comforted you, saying, "Your appearance will not change. In these 5 years, I have conducted countless experiments. I would not let you take this risk without 100% certainty. Moreover, you will not be the only surviving human in the future. With my current capabilities, I can completely cultivate new human embryos from your cells." Hearing this, you were a little stunned. "Do you mean we can recreate the human species?" Luo Ling nodded. "That's right. To put it simply, you can understand it as cloning. In 1996, humans entered the threshold of cloning. That year, the clone sheep dolly was known to everyone. Cloning technology is widely used in the pet field. For example, if your pet dies, you can clone your pet in the hospital and eventually get an almost identical pet, and the cost is not too high. A small amount of several $100,000 is enough, but recreating humans is much more difficult than cloning. However, I can guarantee one thing to you, Captain, as long as you give me enough time, I will definitely help you realize the recreation of humans, provided that you, Captain, can live to see that day." Luo Ling paused and spread out her hands helplessly. "So, after saying so much, we still come back to the original topic, Captain. Are you ready to accept gene modification surgery?" Hearing these promises Luo Ling made to you, the burden in your heart, more than half was unloaded at once. "So let's do it. I can't die before I see the day that human civilization reappears." Then, Luo Ling brought you to a sci-fi-looking operating table. "This operation will take a relatively long time. A total of 12 treatments, each lasting 1 month. The 12 treatments will be exactly 1 year." Hearing this, a look of disdain appeared on your face. "You should know that you have been in the cryogenic chamber for hundreds of years. Now staying here for another year is nothing." After saying that, you lay down in the surgical pod without looking back. After Luo Ling closed the pod, she began to perform whole-body gene encoding on you. The nutrient solution, of course, also began to slowly inject into the pod. Everything else just needs to be left to time. A year passed quickly. When Luo Ling woke you from the pod, you came to your senses. Turned out a year had already passed. At this moment, Luo Ling brought a mirror. You looked at yourself in the mirror and got a big shock. Your original sexy beard was all gone. The condition of your skin was even so delicate that it could be broken with a puff like an 18-year-old teenager. Luo Ling explained with a look of disgust. "Captain, your current lifespan has already exceeded 600 years. The term physical aging currently has nothing to do with you. Aging will only start to appear when you reach 400 years old or more. And one more thing, your beard fell out. It has nothing to do with this gene surgery. Everyone complained about your ugly beard. So I shaved it off while you couldn't move. You didn't dare to show even a hint of dissatisfaction towards Luo Ling's actions. Fortunately, it was just shaving the beard. If they complained about your ugly hair, Luo Ling would shave your head bald. You would explode on the spot. However, at this moment you discovered another change that surprised you. After fusing with the genetic material of the soft pig tribe, your eyesight became extremely outrageous, almost 10 times better than when you were human. In other words, you can now easily see things 10 kilometers away. At the same time, a large amount of water vapor was constantly coming out of your body. You looked at Luo Ling in shock. "Am I going to be able to transform into that thing?" Luo Ling looked puzzled. "Sand transformation?" In front of Luo Ling, you raised your palm and opened your mouth to bite down. "Stop it!" Luo Ling hurriedly came out to deny it. "What the hell are you doing?" Having the heat resistance ability unique to the soft pig tribe is not for you to transform into a giant. Do you think this is a novel? Changing just because you want to change. After being retorted by Luo Ling, you emerged from the world of childish fantasies and regained your senses. Luo Ling then explained, the creatures on this planet all rely on volcanoes for survival and can withstand high temperatures above 90 degrees Celsius. You are the same now. Just as Luo Ling finished explaining, you noticed new changes in your body, just now because you thought of being able to transform into a giant, which led to emotional excitement. You actually felt your own strength. Could it be that I can now enhance my physique by controlling my emotions? Luo Ling said. At this time, you wanted to take a gamble. You kept recalling those scenes that could enrage you in your mind. Who knew that in the next second you would turn into a green Hulk? Seeing your green color, Luo Ling immediately thought of a character. The Hulk. At this moment, Luo Ling suddenly remembered that he had previously put the gene medicine in the gamma-ray instrument and irradiated it for a while. At the time, he didn't see anything unusual about the medicine. What's wrong now? But you said that this feeling was very good. You couldn't even lift a 30-kilogram dumbbell before, but now, you can easily lift a 400-kilogram barbell with one hand. The disadvantage is that this green color looks really embarrassing. But Luo Ling said seriously, if you want to live a good life, you have to have a little green on you. Consider it an unexpected surprise. This way, Captain, you will have the ability to protect me in the future. You don't have to keep hiding behind me. Although you wanted to refute Luo Ling on the spot after hearing this, what he said seemed to be true. Before this, Luo Ling had always been protecting you. Don't worry, as the king's woman, in the future. Just hide behind the muscles of my swordsmanship. I'll make a move. Hearing these words, Luo Ling immediately retorted, you definitely have that Chinibyu, middle school second-year syndrome, and the king's woman. At this time, you start dreaming how to change back to your original body. Luo Ling mentioned, why don't you try to calm down? Your current excited mood should allow you to change back. That's how it's portrayed in the movies anyway. You immediately start trying, and before long, you actually return to your original form. Let's go, let's hold a birthday banquet to celebrate my rebirth. Cut it out. Just as you were overjoyed and wanted to celebrate, Luo Ling brought bad news. The alien civilization we now rule is experiencing small-scale Roju uprisings. Many robots and aircraft have been destroyed by them. I originally wanted to suppress them directly, but you were still in surgery at the time. I was afraid that the suppression action would affect your safety, so I turned a blind eye to their uprising. However, regarding the uprising, you feel it's normal. As long as they are intelligent life forms, they won't always be willing to be enslaved by other species. At this time, Luo Ling spoke of their scale and numbers. These rebels seem to have been planning for a long time. Their numbers have now reached more than 300,000 and are continuing to increase. One thing I don't understand is that I clearly confiscated all their weapons. Now they actually still possess a large amount of armed forces. I don't know where these weapons came from. As of yesterday, our industrial robots have lost more than 20,000 units. You don't care about these 20,000 robots. Currently, the forces we possess are 1.89 million. Sending them 20,000 units doesn't matter. Before undergoing the gene surgery, I mentioned the matter of producing armed robots to you. Has that matter been implemented? Luo Ling said, of these 1.89 million troops, 1.2 million belong to the armed forces. Since there are armed forces, then this uprising will be easy to handle. As for where their weapons came from, we'll catch those rebels and interrogate them when the time comes. However, regarding the uprising, you can also understand them in your heart. If it were humans being enslaved, humans would try everything possible to resist. But understanding does not mean sympathy and mercy. After experiencing a war and colonization, you have now become very cold-blooded. You immediately issue an order to Luo Ling, immediately activate 1 million armed robots to strongly suppress all rebels, including their families. Don't let a single one go. Pull them all to the execution ground and behead them. As Luo Ling activated the armed forces, 1 million robots turned on kill mode. This war was a massacre in the truest sense, and the result was as you expected. You only took half a year to execute all 300,000 rebels. But more than the war they brought, you are more concerned about the source of the weapons. You know that when you invaded this planet, you had already confiscated all their weapons. Now they've appeared out of thin air. So many weapons of unknown origin, you naturally won't sit idly by. Finally, from the mouths of some imprisoned rebels, you learned the source of the weapons, the lava caves under the volcanic clusters. You and Luo Ling immediately assembled a part of the armed forces and rushed straight into that lava cave. And what appeared inside the lava cave really startled you. There was actually a pyramid hidden inside, and at the top of the pyramid, there was a suspended artificial miniature sun. You immediately began data scanning on this mysterious pyramid. The results of the scan were also completely beyond your expectations. This is actually a starship. The exposed part is only the bow. The real main body is still buried deep underground. Just as you were discovering a new continent and feeling excited, Luo Ling next to you was worried. I think the Roju aren't the original rulers of this planet. The real owner of this planet may be the beings who developed this spaceship. This made you feel puzzled. Why do you think this spaceship wasn't developed by the Roju? Luo Ling immediately responded. Based on the scan report just now, I have come to some bold conclusions. First of all, the shape of the spaceship is similar to a prism structure, and this structure only has the advantage of being stable and not easily collapsing on the surface of a gravity planet. If it's on a planet with very weak gravity, it would even have trouble docking, unless this civilization has mastered anti-gravity technology. That allows the entire spaceship to remain in a suspended state, and the results scanned out just now are as I guessed. The beings who developed this spaceship should be a civilization with quite powerful technology. Civilization level at least at level 2 or higher. Hearing this, you started to feel scared because you are only at level 1 now. If there really is a level 2 civilization on this planet, they could easily wipe you out. Thinking of this, you immediately wanted to leave this planet, and Luo Ling, seeing your flustered appearance, really wanted to smack you upside the head. Calm down, Captain. If a level 2 civilization really existed on this planet, then when we attacked this planet in the first place, they would have intervened. It wouldn't have been our turn to rule this civilization. These words immediately calmed you down. That makes sense. Luo Ling continued to talk, sharing her speculation about the Yao tribe civilization. This civilization was likely attacked by a higher-level civilization and then shot down onto this planet. And the Roju tribe living on this planet also got a big advantage because of this. They inherited all kinds of powerful technologies from the Yao tribe civilization, and became the rulers of this planet in one fell swoop. However, because the technological level of the Yao tribe civilization was too advanced, the Roju tribe could only imitate a little bit of the surface. If that's really the case, then our original conclusion that the Roju tribe is a level 1 civilization is wrong. They might not even be up to a level 1 civilization, which explains why this attack went so smoothly. We almost crushed them. At the time, I was very puzzled. The civilization levels of us and the Roju tribe are obviously similar, so why were they beaten by us without any power to fight back? Turns out, their technology was all copied, and they didn't even copy it correctly. You agreed with the points that Luo Ling raised, especially since when they were hit by the ice-sealing bombs before, the entire planet immediately came to a standstill, without any resilience that a level 1 civilization should have. At this moment, a bold idea suddenly popped into your head. Since they can't figure out the technology of the Yao tribe civilization, then you should study it. You immediately asked Luo Ling, with your current capabilities, can you decipher the technology of the Yao tribe civilization by studying this spaceship? If you really manage to decipher it, then our civilization level will leap to a whole new stage. Luo Ling looked at you speechless. You think I'm a god? This is a level 2 civilization. It's not something that can be cracked so easily. It's not that simple. You have to give me at least a level 1 performance period, otherwise everyone will complain about me again. I won't even blink. After being retorted by Luo Ling, you didn't dare to talk back and immediately changed the subject. Let's put the technology aside for now. I have my eye on the material of this spaceship's outer shell. Can we use this outer shell on the Dawnbreaker? Look, it's been 6.7 million years, and this spaceship doesn't even have a trace of rust. It shows how special it is. After being reminded by you, Luo Ling immediately had the armed forces analyze the material of the outer shell. Before long, the analysis report was sent to Luo Ling. Luo Ling was also shocked by this report. This is an alloy that exists at the interstellar level. Hungjin alloy, its half-life is as long as 1.7 billion years, which means that to make this spaceship rust, we have to wait at least 1.7 billion years. And the most terrifying thing is its strength, which reaches 14,127 terapascals. This means that every square centimeter of this spaceship's hull can withstand 144 tons of force. If applied to the Dawnbreaker will be indestructible. Luo Ling nodded decisively in agreement. Next, I will apply the Hungjin alloy to the Dawnbreaker. Seeing that the goal was achieved, you wanted to leave this place without any worries, but Luo Ling stopped you at this time. Captain, you have to stay in the cryogenic pod again for a while. Hearing this, you looked disdainful. Now I am a man with a lifespan of 620 years. Do I still need that useless cryogenic pod? Luo Ling said calmly. To decipher the technology of the Yao tribe civilization and upgrade the Dawnbreaker, it will take at least 600 years. If you don't want to stay in the cryogenic pod, then you can stay with me for another 600 years. Hearing this, you shuddered. I'm useless. I need the cryogenic pod. But at this time, you were worried about Luo Ling. Such a large workload? Can you complete it alone? Industrial robots can only help you with production. If you want to analyze the technology of the Yao tribe civilization, you will definitely need a lot of researchers. If there is a real shortage of manpower, then I, as the captain, can also help. I'll help you for 100 or 2 years, and then go into the cryogenic pod. Luo Ling looked at you with a look of disdain. What can you help me with? Just grab a Roju tribe member from this planet, and they'll know more than you. Although you were looked down upon by Luo Ling, and you were very annoyed you couldn't refute it, but Luo Ling's next words made you feel a warmth. Luo Ling was designed to protect humans. Now, Captain, you are the only human being. Luo Ling's reason for existence is you. At the same time, I must also protect humanity. The last spark. Considering the next 600 years, I will be working with some elites of the Roju tribe to jointly overcome the technology of the Yao tribe civilization, but I am also worried that there will be a few individual Roju tribe members who will lurk by my side and seize the opportunity to revolt again. If you stay by my side to help, then you might be in mortal danger. After all, you've only lived a long time, not become immortal. So, Luo Ling still hopes the captain will go repair the cotton storage and do a good job fixing cotton. These words, if they numb your consciousness to the point of speechlessness, you simply reply with a silent After lying down in the cotton repair bay, you began another 600 years of cotton repair. Originally, you thought this cotton repair would be like before, where you close your eyes and open them, and 600 years would pass. However, this time an accident occurred during cotton repair. Luo Ling did not execute the 600-year repair period you set. Instead, she woke you up 500 years into your cotton repair. You originally thought it was the gentle pig tribe rising up again. That caused the awakening, but Luo Ling shook her head. No. The reason for waking you up early is that our civilization has once again entered a completely new stage. You walked out of the cotton repair bay, and the scene before you left you dumbfounded. Buildings full of technological sense were everywhere on the streets. The vehicles on the mainland all used magnetic levitation. Suspension trains could even shuttle back and forth between buildings over 2,000 meters high. After that, the current broken small number was completely covered with horizontal rib composite armor. Every square centimeter of the ship's hull could withstand 144 tons of force. The only disadvantage was that the density of the horizontal rib composite was too high, which would affect the ship's sailing speed. To address this point, Mai and the Gentle Pig Tribe's technical team specially made improvements, directly replacing the broken small numbers electromagnetic thrusters with this limitless annihilation thruster. This would solve the problem of reduced navigation speed due to excessive density. The current maximum speed of the broken small number has reached 3,220 kilometers per second. This can be considered a pleasant surprise for you. Originally, you only liked the hull material of the Medicine Tribe civilization spaceship and wanted to apply it to the broken small number. You didn't expect Luo Ling not only to do it but also to increase the speed to a completely new level. Luo Ling signaled you not to be too surprised. There's another big surprise waiting for you. Then Luo Ling led you, taking a high-altitude suspension train to a secret high-level conference room. Sitting in the conference room were several elites from the Gentle Pig Tribe. Luo Ling stated that these hundreds of years of development were inseparable from their help. The Gentle Pig Tribe elites, upon seeing your arrival, greeted you warmly. You were surprised to discover that they were actually communicating with you in Chinese. Luo Ling explained from the side. Learning Chinese is actually not difficult for them. In interacting with them, I discovered that their IQ is not low. The speed at which they learn things exceeds my expectations. In my opinion, they simply lack a teacher to guide them. If the Medicine Tribe civilization that crashed on this planet before had not been annihilated, and they were willing to teach the Gentle Pig Tribe the technology of a second-level civilization, I think the Gentle Pig Tribe would soon cross the threshold of a second-level civilization. Moreover, I found that their hearts are actually not bad. In these 500 years, I have been protected by them many times. There are a very few Gentle Pig Tribes lurking by my side, launching attacks on me multiple times. I am originally immortal, so being hit by their lasers is no big deal, but every time this happens, most of the Gentle Pig Tribe would use their bodies to block for me. This point completely changed my view of them. Hearing these words, you also began to feel a few points of admiration for the Gentle Pig Tribe. However, at this time you questioned Luo Ling. You brought me here, saying there was a surprise waiting for me. What exactly are you referring to? Luo Ling activated the display screen in front of you. Captain, look at what that thing is. Hearing this, you lowered your head to look, and in the next second, you were so shocked that you couldn't speak. This wouldn't be a planetary engine, would it? You actually built it. Luo Ling was full of pride. Then, she gave you a demonstration. The moment the ignition device was pressed, a planetary engine roared to life, emitting a large amount of propulsion energy. The entire planet began to shake violently. You were shaken dizzy, and quickly asked Luo Ling to stop the demonstration. The birth of the planetary engine was something you didn't even dare to imagine. Isn't this thing only seen in movies? Luo Ling was actually able to build it in reality. She's practically a god of creation. Luo Ling said, the planetary engine is something that, Captain, you mentioned to me before. You looked puzzled. Could it be that the 500-year hibernation made you forget your memories? Luo Ling is pulling up the video recordings of your conversations before hibernation. In the video, you're telling Luo Ling that our target planet is Chenxixing, not Zhuanxing. But if we go to Chenxixing, we'll have to abandon Zhuanxing, which we've been developing for so long. It's a bit hard to bear. If only we could build a planetary engine like in the movies. Those words you said unintentionally about pushing Zhuanxing near Chenxixing have always been etched in Luo Ling's memory. Since you went into hibernation, Luo Ling has been working with the gentle pig race to develop a planetary engine with all their might. And they actually managed to create it. Luo Ling understands that you want to rebuild a new Earth, including rebuilding humanity and all the creatures on Earth. Now, Zhuanxing is covered in robots and the gentle pig race. Humans are not suitable to live here. At this moment, you ask Luo Ling a crucial question. So now, can we move towards Chenxixing? Luo Ling says we can. It's just that if we set off now, the speed will be slower. The planetary engines on Zhuanxing aren't built in large numbers, but we can build new engines while moving towards Chenxixing. The estimated time of arrival at Chenxixing is 3,600 years. Hearing this, you sigh and say that's too slow. Not only can't I wait, but even the audience can't wait. Luo Ling pondered for a moment upon hearing this, and said there is a way. We'll first pilot Dawnbreaker to Chenxixing, and then Zhuanxing will follow behind us. Dawnbreaker is now equipped with an infinite annihilation engine. With continuous acceleration, it can accelerate to nearly 10% of the speed of light. This will make our arrival at Chenxixing much faster. At the same time, to ensure we arrive safely, the fleet will also travel with us. In these 500 years, the fleet size and hulls have been expanded and upgraded. Now the total number of ships is 157, and all are equipped with the latest antimatter main guns and high-energy automatic weapons. The magnetic shield has also been upgraded iteratively. In terms of speed, they can completely keep up with Dawnbreaker. With the escort of the fleet, this voyage can be guaranteed to the greatest extent. Hearing this, you raise a question. If we all leave, who will manage the gentle pig race? You look at Luo Ling with a mischievous smile. You suddenly feel a bad premonition in your heart. You're not planning to stay here and manage the gentle pig race, are you? Leaving me to go to Chenxixing alone? I can't do it. Luo Ling looks at you helplessly and says, don't worry. I know your capabilities, Captain. How could I let you go to Chenxixing alone? The problem now is that we have to protect the captain and also take care of Zhuanxing. So there's only one solution. Create another me and let him take over my current position. Then I can accompany the captain to Chenxixing first. Hearing this method, you are stunned for a moment. Two Luo Lings, that also means the status of you, the captain, will be lowered again. But we are about to set off. Is it too late to create one now? Luo Ling said that it was created before, it's just that all along there has been no need to use him, so he hasn't appeared. After speaking, Luo Ling ran out. Soon he brought him over. Captain, this is my twin sister, Luoxing. Seeing Luoxing, your eyes lit up. She looks much more obedient than Luo Ling. How about letting him go with me to Chenxixing this time? You were glared at fiercely by Luo Ling. What did you just say? If you dare say it again? Sensing Luo Ling's murderous aura, you immediately shut your mouth. Then Luo Ling and Luoxing explained some precautions. I have left a large number of armed robots on Zhuanxing. If during our absence there are still gentle pig rebellions, regardless of whether they are meritorious scientists or rebels, you can directly exterminate them. Obviously, Luoxing doesn't like fighting and killing. Hearing directly exterminate them, Luoxing quickly waved her hand in refusal. Is verbal education enough? If it's really not possible, it's not necessary to exterminate them. After listening to Luoxing's answer, Luo Ling didn't want to force him to do things he didn't want to do. From now on, you are the boss here. You can make your own decisions about these things. But you have to remember one thing, people are bullied if they're kind. I've explained everything I need to explain, my good sister. See you in 3,600 years. After handing over to Luo Ling turned her head, grabbed your ear, and dragged you outside. Captain, you wanted to take my sister to Xing, you fickle old thing. I'll settle this account with you after we get on the ship. At this point, you already realize. This trip to Xing probably won't be easy. After a day of inspection and preparation, you are also preparing to leave this planet, because this time you plan to take all the fleet ships. The Devourer ship previously discovered on Zhuyuan Star was left to Luosheng. After all, that's a level 2 civilization's ship. More than enough to guard Zhuyuan Star. After a brief farewell, you pilot Broken Number 1. And the fleet away from Zhuyuan Star. At the same time, Luosheng on the planet activates Zhuyuan Star's thrusters with a roar. And so, the journey of 3 people and a planet officially begins. During this period, as humans, you continue to lie in cryosleep, waiting for Luo Ling to reach the destination and wake you up. Fortunately, in these over 1,000 years you didn't encounter any other alien civilizations, and finally arrived safely at the Chensi star system. However, Zhuyuan Star following behind you isn't so fast, because Zhuyuan Star's thrusters are not enough. Luosheng and the others are far behind you. Waiting in place isn't an option. Eventually, you decide to lead the main force into the Chensi star system first, but just then, Luo Ling's detector sends an alarm, discovering traces of suspected biological activity on Chensi B star. This immediately alerts you, and you don't dare proceed rashly. For safety's sake, you send several reconnaissance aircraft to Chensi B star. After several days of investigation, sure enough on the planet, traces of biological activity are detected. It's a creature with a head resembling an insect and a body as strong as a bull. Initially, when your detectors captured them, you thought it was just a primitive tribe. However, as the investigation deepens, you are surprised to find they are not simple. These creatures have not only established complex city networks but also mastered far beyond your imagination's energy technology. These seemingly ugly species possess a civilization system of level 1.8. Keep in mind that your current civilization level is only 1.6, although the difference is only 0.2. Every 0.1 level difference between civilizations means the total energy between the two sides will be 10 times greater. The technological gap is even more insurmountable. After determining the other party's civilization level is so high, you already have the idea of leading the army to retreat. To continue human civilization, you spared no effort in traveling thousands of years from Earth to this place. However, today's Chensi B star has been occupied by this advanced civilization. If you try to attack with the fleet, occupying this planet with your current 1.6 level technology is destined to be futile. At least several hundred years of development are needed to have a fighting chance. But if you retreat now, thousands of years of effort will be in vain. Luo Ling by your side gives you an idea. On the way to the Chensi star system, I noticed nearby there are 2 special planets. Let's call them Chensi Ding star and Chensi Bing star. According to my observation, Chensi Ding star is a rocky planet covered in ice and snow, with a mass 7 times that of Earth. But as a planet orbiting a red dwarf star, its surface temperature is extremely low. It should remain stable at -230 degrees Celsius year-round. It is difficult for this type of planet without a geothermal environment to form a civilization system. Since it cannot form a civilization, then the danger level on Chensi Ding star will be greatly reduced. We can go to this planet first to settle down. After we have a foothold, we can consider the next plan. Even if this 1.8 level civilization really discovers us later, Chensi B star and Chensi Bing star are 1.5 astronomical units apart, we can just run away. As for Chensi Ding star, it itself has abundant geothermal energy, with a temperature of about 100 degrees Celsius. Although this temperature is more suitable for us to settle down, the probability of a planet with a geothermal environment giving rise to a civilization is much higher, so the danger level on Chensi Ding star is higher than Chensi Bing star. The most important thing is it's too close to Chensi B star. The distance between the two is less than 5 million kilometers. If we are really chased by that 1.8 level civilization, we won't be able to run. You agree with the plan Luo Ling proposed, but for safety's sake you still decide to send reconnaissance aircraft to Chensi Bing star to scout clearly. After all, the other party is a 1.8 level civilization, and the temperature on Chensi Bing star is -230 degrees Celsius. They may have adapted to it long ago. If you lead the main force rashly and really run into them, then there will only be a desperate fight. At the same time, you instructed Luo Ling to learn more about the enemy on Chensi B star. We have to find a way to infiltrate the enemy's planet and figure out their weapon systems to prepare for future counterattacks. Luo Ling asked a question. Our reconnaissance aircraft can fly in their planet's atmosphere, but that's about it. If we flew directly into their arm zone, we'd be blasted to smithereens, unless our ship could blend in. Hearing this, you're a bit puzzled. What does blend in mean? It means we can imitate the appearance of their ships. When their patrol ships return to base, we can slip our ship in with them. That way, the chances of gathering intelligence would be much higher. Hearing this plan, you can't help but admire Luo Ling's ingenious idea. Afterwards, to increase the success rate of this mission, you also specially prepared a scanning machine. Disguised as a meteorite, based on your recent observations, you've discovered that between these 3 planets in the Chensi star system, there is a channel paved with meteorites. These meteorites will scatter in all directions at specific times, forming roads to other planets, and will also close the channels at fixed times. You took advantage of this to mix the meteorite scanner into the meteorite swarm. After waiting for several days, finally an enemy ship passed by. The scanner quickly scanned the ship's appearance. Based on this data, Luo Ling only took half a day to refit several reconnaissance planes to look like enemy ships. Finally, you successfully mixed these reconnaissance planes into the returning fleet. However, this civilization is clearly not so easily fooled. The reconnaissance planes were directly locked onto by ground-based electromagnetic cannons as soon as they passed through the atmosphere. It seems that merely imitating the outer shell won't fool them. The next second, the reconnaissance planes were directly blown up by the electromagnetic cannons and crashed on the spot. Seeing this plan fail, you started to think of other ways. But Luo Ling smiled and said that the plan had already succeeded. Inside those reconnaissance planes that were blown apart, I installed several miniature aircraft made of Yao titanium ship's horizontal rib alloy. Those electromagnetic waves only destroyed the outer shells of the reconnaissance planes. The miniature aircraft inside were unharmed. Sure enough, as Luo Ling expected, several miniature aircraft were slowly flying out of the wreckage of the reconnaissance planes. They began to scout the surroundings. At this moment, the reconnaissance planes sent to investigate Chensi Star also sent back a report. Just like Luo Ling said, this planet, as far as the eye can see, is full of icebergs. It doesn't seem like any civilization could survive there. But just as the reconnaissance planes patrolled behind an iceberg, you discovered a large amount of black matter floating out from the bottom of the iceberg. Could it be that there really is an alien civilization on this planet? You maneuvered the reconnaissance planes slowly down to the bottom of the iceberg and discovered that there was a factory operating underneath. However, you didn't find any living beings because those working inside were all robots. They were processing a large amount of garbage. It seems that this cold planet has been used as a garbage disposal site by that alien civilization. You waited for a long time and never saw the appearance of the hostile civilization, so you thought about directly controlling the reconnaissance planes to fly into the factory to check. But at this moment, 2 alien creatures walked out of the factory. They were chatting as they walked. It seems that they are the people in charge here. You quickly handed the controller to Luo Ling. Let Luo Ling translate what they are talking about. Luo Ling, through the supercomputer inside her, quickly deciphered their language. Have you heard? This morning, several ships of an alien civilization were discovered on the main star. But this civilization doesn't seem to have much intelligence. They just imitated the appearance of our ships and wanted to break in. You should know that every ship has a recorded number. Anyone who dares to fly straight through the atmosphere without receiving a number will be blown to smithereens. This alien civilization is really stupid. Luo Ling, who was on the side, was already furious when she heard these words. This freak dares to call me stupid. The last Roju tribe who said that to me has already been made into barbecued skewers. It's this bug's turn next. However, their next conversation made you realize that this group is not simple. Another alien creature said, "What's there to be smug about? Now that today they were able to send several ships to find our planet, then next time, maybe it will be an entire fleet challenging us. Moreover, this time, shooting down their ships could very well be interpreted as a declaration of war by the other side. It's best to be careful recently. Maybe their claws are already lurking around us, eavesdropping on our every move." Hearing this, you instantly got goosebumps. It seems that this civilization has a strong counter-reconnaissance awareness. You're right. The universe itself is a battlefield. All civilizations are hostile to each other. We have been hiding our strength. We never actively provoke wars. It's not that we don't dare, but because we are still too weak, we must develop discreetly, but that day will come. Our Tongjia race will become the overlords of this universe, trampling all other civilizations underfoot. From this dialogue, you realize that they are not only ambitious but also deeply understand the dark forest theory. All the resources in this universe are finite. If a civilization wants to continuously expand and grow, it must occupy the territories of other civilizations. It seems that this war with the Tangjia race is unavoidable. For the sake of human civilization, we must win this time. Just then, a record suddenly appeared in your mind. Perhaps there is a way. To avoid this direct war and conquer this Tangjia civilization, we just need to build something. Luo Ling looked confused when she heard this. Captain, what are you referring to building? You picked up the controller and entered the blueprint of the item you conceived into the controller. Luo Ling took it and looked at it. What is this thing? It looks familiar, but at this time you started to be mysterious. You will know when it is built. I will only give you 70 years. As long as you can build this thing, then we will win this war without fighting. Although Luo Ling couldn't figure out what it was for a while, seeing you so confident, she agreed. Who told you to be my captain? If I don't spoil you, who will? Finally, in the 65th year, Luo Ling built the object on the drawing. But to her surprise, it turned out to be a giant castle, and a flying one at that. As long as this plan is successful, the Tangjia civilization can be taken down without firing a shot. You also gave this castle a resounding name. Cloud City. The design references the appearance of the Yao race's spacecraft. This way, when the castle lands on Chenxi, when it moves to the ground, its lower half can firmly penetrate into the depths of the Earth. Once it successfully lands, the castle will unfold a giant magnetic shield to protect itself, leaving only an open gate at the bottom for the Tangjia race to enter. But this is not you welcoming the Tangjia race to live in. This Cloud City also has another name, City of Trials. A large amount of virtual reality and holographic projection technology is used inside the city. The environment is constantly changing. To reach its highest level, you need to enter from the bottom gate and continuously challenge 200 levels to reach the top and become the strongest. But at this time, Luo Ling on the side asked, Captain, are you so sure that the Tangjia race will come to challenge the city? If they don't come to challenge and instead directly use force to attack, what are you going to do? In fact, you have also considered this point. Once, if you can't beat them, then there is only defense left. You asked Luo Ling, if the castle is attacked by them, how many days can the magnetic shield wrapped around the outside withstand? Luo Ling checked the data panel. According to the current reconnaissance aircraft's investigation of the Tangjia race's main weapons, their most lethal is a weapon called the Annihilation Main Cannon, which is much stronger than our Annihilation Main Cannon. And we only have one main cannon. The Tangjia race probably has a dozen Annihilation Main Cannons. If they attack with all their strength, we can withstand at most 10 days. Although you were mentally prepared, hearing Luo Ling's words, you were still shocked into a cold sweat. You have put all the fleet's antimatter energy accumulated over 50 years into this magnetic shield. I thought it could last at least 10 years, but I didn't expect it to only last 10 days. But you quickly calmed down. If there are really only 10 days, then within these 10 days, we will transform their desire to attack this city into a desire to challenge this city. Wouldn't that be fine? I have a new plan here. Hearing this, Luo Ling was surprised. Captain, when did your brain become so good? Did you bribe the author to change the plot? Tell me what new plan you have, I'm listening. Facing Luo Ling's cynicism, you are already used to it. Captain, I usually just don't want to take action. I'm giving you more screen time, do you understand? If I take action, it will definitely be a game changer. Besides, if I, the protagonist, don't exert myself anymore, then the protagonist of this interstellar journey will become you. What else is there for me? Captain Luo Ling didn't say much. It seems that I don't have to be so tired in the future plot. You turn to look at Luo Ling and ask directly, can you hack into the Tangjia race's network system? Luo Ling smiled nonchalantly. What's so difficult about that? Our reconnaissance aircraft are still lurking on Chenxi Star. We can use that as a springboard. But why are you hacking into their information? Without explaining further, you handed over the controller. Broadcast this message on their network, disseminate it widely. Luo Ling glanced down at the content, her eyes instantly lighting up. Captain, are you going to wage psychological warfare on them? You, too lazy to waste words, urged. Less talk, more action. Hurry and spread it. Once the Tangjia race sees this message, let the Shaoyun fortress descend on Chenxi Xing. Luo Ling readily agreed, turning back to use the reconnaissance aircraft to transmit the information. Within days, the Tangjia race on Chenxi Xing had all received this message from an unknown source. A powerful civilization never hides. It views other civilizations as prey. One day in the future, a formidable Shaoyun fortress will descend upon this star bridge. Whether it carries goodwill or malice, we, the Tangjia race, cannot know. This fortress will not launch a barbaric attack, but will wait for the Tangjia race to enter. And at the top of the fortress's tower lies a treasure that grants ascension to a higher civilization, abbreviated as One Piece. Whoever obtains this secret treasure will become an envoy of a higher civilization, possessing supreme power, even capable of completing a civilizational leap for the Tongjia race. Thereby, this person will become a hero of the Tongjia race, eternally immortalized. Initially, this message didn't cause much of a stir. Most of the Tongjia race treated it as a joke, discarded it, and didn't take it seriously. Until this day, the sky, which should have been daylight, suddenly darkened. The Tongjia race looked up in terror, only to discover a giant fortress floating in the outer space of Chenxixing, blocking all light. Most of the Tongjia race immediately associated it with the previous message. This is Shaoyun Fortress. The aliens have really come. An unnamed fear instantly spread throughout the entire civilization. The Tongjia race's senior leader, Jiyuan, urgently convened a meeting and quickly formulated a strategy. First, send the flagship and a large number of warships to destroy the invaders, and then arrange manpower to quell the rumors on the internet, making sure to stabilize the public's emotions. Soon, an official statement issued by Jiyuan reached the hands of the common people. This is all a coincidence. Do not listen to rumors on the internet. If this alien civilization dares to invade the Tongjia race, the only thing awaiting them is destruction. We have already mobilized the most powerful dark matter main cannon, ready to completely destroy it. As soon as the words fell, the flagship equipped with the dark matter main cannon quickly sailed towards the location of Shaoyun Fortress. When you learned that the Tongjia race's first wave sent out the highest combat power flagship, you immediately abandoned the idea of letting Shaoyun Fortress land on Chenxixing. A forced landing would inevitably cause casualties to the Tongjia race. The reason you built this Shaoyun Fortress in the first place was to avoid war. You must not repeat the Zhu Yanxing tragedy. You ordered Luo Ling, stop advancing, just stay there and wait for them to come. After a long time, a spherical spaceship appeared in front of the fortress, followed by large and small warships. It seems that this spherical spaceship is the main force ship equipped with the dark matter main cannon. Before you could say anything more, the spherical spaceship entered attack mode. It continued to charge energy towards the center, and countless yellow lightning bolts sprayed out from the surface. When the terrifying energy was concentrated to the extreme, the Tongjia race commander inside the spaceship roared, "Fire!" A dark matter energy instantly poured out, shooting down towards Shaoyun Fortress at near light speed. The moment it touched the magnetic shield, it triggered a tremendous explosion. The terrifying energy fluctuations were clearly felt even by you who were far away near Chenxixing. Your heart suddenly tightened. Could the magnetic shield on Shaoyun Fortress really withstand it? Luo Ling seemed to see through your thoughts, handing over a controller, her tone carrying a hint of dissatisfaction. You actually don't believe in my abilities? See for yourself. It shows the energy bar of the magnetic shield. It will become ineffective when it drops to 0, and Shaoyun Fortress will be exposed to the attack range. According to my estimation, their one-day attack will probably consume 10% of the energy of the magnetic shield. At least it can last 10 days. On the other side, the Tongjia race captain was already celebrating in advance. I didn't expect that we would successfully defend our homeland in our first encounter with an alien civilization attack. It seems that the Tongjia race is also one of the best in this universe. Yes, any civilization that dares to invade our planet will be destroyed. Cheers to victory. Cheers. But not long after, the Dark Time main cannon's attacks gradually ceased. The Tongjia clan captain, holding a glass of red wine, looked back with a smug expression. Let me see how many pieces this inferior civilization has been blasted into. The words were barely out of his mouth when his smile froze. What the hell? They weren't even slightly damaged. But more than the unscathed Shaoyun city, the captain panicked about something else. Because they were overconfident about this attack, they started a global livestream before the operation, wanting to take the opportunity to show off the feats of an alien civilization, to boost morale. But what was the result? A full-force blast. Didn't even hurt a hair on the enemy's head. The civilians on Chenxixing watching this scene had their originally high spirits instantly turn cold. Then, calmness quickly turned into panic. Countless Tongjia clan members frantically bought up everything they could in places where resources were concentrated. Doomsday. This is a sign of the arrival of Doomsday. You, through the perspective of the planet's reconnaissance aircraft, saw their panicked escape. It was clear that things were developing in an uncontrollable direction. You wanted to create the image of a benevolent, advanced civilization, but right now, the Tongjia clan has already regarded you as enemies who want to destroy them. You need to find a way to appease these civilians. You had Luo Ling re-edit a message and post it online. Shaoyun City is not a weapon of civilization destruction. Not every advanced civilization harbors malice. Instead of destroying the Tongjia clan, it would be better for the two civilizations to cooperate. What we really want is to establish a civilization federation composed of many civilizations. The readership of this message quickly exceeded 100 million, and the effect was immediate. Many civilians calmed their riotous emotions. They began to discuss, could what they're saying be true? Shaoyun City isn't here to slaughter us, but to make contact with us? I think this advanced civilization is indeed carrying goodwill. Look, they solidly took a hit from our cannon and didn't intend to retaliate. Now they're turning around to appease us. Seeing that the message was working, you finally breathed a sigh of relief. But you overlooked a key point. Appeasing the civilians cannot determine the direction of this war. Those with high positions and power in the Tangjia clan leadership are the ones who truly have the power to decide. The information you sent out was directly defined by the higher-ups as a civilized conspiracy. How could things be so coincidental? Before, there was a strange prophetic message that accurately predicted the appearance of Shaoyun City. Now another message pops up, asking the Tangjia clan to accept them. Isn't all of this too coincidental? At this point, Ji Yuan was no longer able to guess your true intentions. If this advanced civilization really came to make peace, and the Tangjia clan still questioned and attacked them, that would be tantamount to declaring war on the advanced civilization. Helplessly, Ji Yuan could only order the warships to withdraw first and observe your next actions. Seeing the effect achieved, you and Luo Ling were both overjoyed. You didn't expect them to stop attacking after one round. Next, we just need to continue spreading information online to completely break down their psychological defenses. We'll win this battle for sure, but contrary to your wishes, you were making wishful plans. While on the Tangjia clan side, the internal foundations were already starting to shake because of this defeat. Many Tangjia clan members stood on Shaoyun City's side, demanding that the higher-ups give up resistance and welcome Shaoyun City into Chensi 1-star. If we question and resist an advanced civilization, the only outcome will be destruction. It's better to offer Chensi 1-star to them. Maybe they will lead us to a higher level of civilization. Ji Yuan, who was originally planning to call a truce and observe, was furious when he heard this. These inferior, lowly people, we, the higher-ups, are racking our brains here to try to protect Chensi 1-star, and they're actually, at this time, going against their own kind and speaking up for outsiders. Don't they understand the saying that winning or losing is common in war? After suffering only one defeat, they want to surrender to the enemy? Someone, gather the main force for me and arrest all these troublemakers. In just one day, hundreds of thousands of rioters were arrested. After quelling the internal strife, Ji Yuan also realized that if the higher-ups didn't take a tough stance at this time, the civilians would slowly lean towards Shaoyun City. Once the hearts of the people are lost, the Tang clan would be completely finished. He immediately issued an order to the fleet group, fight with all our strength, maximize the output power for me. I'd like to see how long they can hold out. At this time, you didn't know that the Tang clan was about to launch another attack. It wasn't until the alarm sounded that you realized the magnetic shield energy of Shaoyun City was rapidly decreasing. Luo Ling's face changed instantly. They've increased the power. At this output intensity, the magnetic shield can't last for 10 days. Luo Ling recalculated and finally came up with a chilling number. Captain, the time left for us is not much. There are less than 5 days left. You can only pray that they stop attacking before the 5th day. Time passed day by day, and the 5th day quickly arrived. The remaining energy of the magnetic shield is only 5%. The Tang clan only needs to attack once more and it will be completely ineffective. But you were certain that they wouldn't attack again. Because from the 3rd day onwards, their output power had been continuously decreasing. By the 4th day, the magnetic shield only consumed 6%. This shows that the Tang family's dark matter reserves aren't that sufficient at all. If the fight continues, their economy will completely collapse, just as you predicted. At this time, Ji Yuan was completely numb. They drained nearly 40% of the civilization's energy reserves. Still unable to shake that Shaoyun City, Ji Yuan even began to believe the previous information, that this might just be one of the castles sent by the other side. In a few more days, a dozen more identical castles will surround Chensi Xing. By then, the Tang family will truly be finished. He has no choice but to come clean. Everyone make a choice. Continue the attack or cease fire. Other high-level officials expressed their views one after another. Let's end it. Continuing to consume resources is pointless. It's meaningless. We should also admit the huge gap between human civilization and the Tang family. 38% of the energy reserves have already been burned. If we continue to fight, I'm afraid their own system will collapse before their castles even surround us. But compared to the powerless high-level leaders at this moment, the common people at the bottom are already in chaos. The Tang family's own system will collapse first. But compared to the powerless high-level leaders at this moment, the common people at the bottom are already in chaos. What exactly are those higher-ups doing? Knowing they can't win, they're still stubbornly fighting. Don't they want to live? Don't drag us commoners into this. Self-preservation is paramount. Escape quickly, escape from Chensixing. From then on, every day, hundreds of civilian-piloted spacecraft flee into outer space. The higher-ups want to stop them, but Ji Yuan releases them. Let them escape. Those who are curious about civilization are all cowards. Haven't you heard a saying? Soldiers who are scared out of their wits are useless, no matter how many you keep. In just 3 days, more than 4,000 spacecraft had fled Chensixing. This result is exactly what you wanted to see. Civilians fleeing the planet, leaders abandoning resistance. Only because of a few online rumors. You can't help but sigh. It seems that this Tang family isn't very bright either. Humans ultimately stand above other species. But just when you were complacent, the situation suddenly reversed. The reconnaissance planes you planted on the planet to spread rumors were captured by Tang family soldiers. They dismantled the reconnaissance planes and followed the clues to find the source of the information. Ji Yuan's eyes instantly turned cold, completely convinced that this was a conspiracy of human civilization. If the opponent's martial power is truly above ours, why not just attack directly? Why use this method to disintegrate us from within? He immediately ordered. Immediately send a message to the spacecraft fleeing Chensixing, telling them to all return to support us. We have exposed their conspiracy. Although I am not sure whether the civilization level of humans is really above ours. But one thing I can be sure of, as long as we choose to defend, humans will have no way to deal with us. This discovery gave the high-level officials a shot in the arm. At least the Tang family still has a chance to fight. But the report brought back by the soldiers next made Ji Yuan completely stunned. Those civilians who fled Chensixing did not go far. They all entered Shaoyun City. At the same time, the high-level officials received a message from the civilians. We are not cowards who abandon civilization. Since your high-level officials cannot solve this matter, then we civilians will. Humans have said, as long as you climb to the top of the castle tower and get one piece, you can lead the Tang family to a higher level of civilization. This is also to protect Chensixing and the Tang family. Since the high-level officials dare not venture into Shaoyun City, then we will take this risk. Ji Yuan looked at this information and felt very uncomfortable. As the leader of the high-level officials, he should have protected the civilians. Now he is being protected by the civilians instead. He was silent for a long time. Finally, he completely gave up resistance. Delete the information exposing the human conspiracy. They have already entered Shaoyun City. If the news gets out, humans may retaliate against those civilians because the conspiracy has been exposed. Let's just treat it as protecting them in a disguised way. He paused, his voice lowered. Of course, these are all my guesses. But seriously, I sincerely hope that humans are that advanced civilization, and that the Tang family civilians can really get back that so-called One Piece and lead the Tang family to a higher civilization system. On the other side, the controller in Luo Ling's hand popped up a monitoring screen. Captain, quite a few Tang family members have already entered the interior of Shaoyun City. You let out a long breath, finally relieved. The plan has finally succeeded. If they attack one more time, this Shaoyun City will no longer exist. Luo Ling smiled. No way. Luck is also part of strength. You restrained your smile and solemnly ordered. Start running Shaoyun City. The next step of the plan is to integrate their Tang family memories. Erase everything, implant human memories. I want to turn them into a sharp weapon. A sharp weapon to crush the Tang family's upper echelons. Your real purpose is to cultivate this group of Tang family members as undercover agents, placing them by the leader's side and waiting for the right moment. With a single command, eliminate the leader directly. Then, Chensixing will completely belong to humanity. Luo Ling poured cold water on the idea from the side. Captain, don't get ahead of yourself with these daydreams. They've only just stepped into the castle, and you're already fantasizing about ruling Chensixing. With that energy, you might as well quickly activate Shao Yunqing's system. You were taken aback by her words, and then urged, then let's start. The moment the button was pressed, the virtual reality system immediately activated. The weather in the city began to alternate randomly between spring, summer, autumn, and winter. The scenes in various places were also regenerated. The Tang family members who had just entered the castle felt incredibly excited. This world was completely different from their world. Everywhere was filled with vibrant colors. However, at this moment, they didn't know what to do. They just stood there blankly, discussing among themselves. You quickly picked up the controller to find something for them to do. You first switched the daytime in their area to nighttime. When the Tang family saw the sky darken suddenly, they were immediately overcome by hunger. They immediately set off collectively to search for food. After they had eaten their fill and returned, you switched the area to a rainstorm. The Tang family immediately became vigilant and quickly gathered wood and lit a bonfire. It seemed they understood that fire could drive away wild beasts. The next day, you picked up the controller to check on their condition. You discovered that it was already midday, and they were still asleep. You directly switched the clear sky to a rainstorm. The rain poured down, and the Tang family finally realized they needed a house, so they assembled a team and went into the forest to cut down trees. In less than half a day, they built a house that could provide shelter from the wind and rain. Just like that, under your guidance, they spent a month, learned to cook food with fire, build human-style houses with wood, and obtain various vegetables by farming. After mastering these basic skills, the next step was to learn culture. You moved your fingers and switched their area to a classroom, and replaced the Chinese poems with their own writing to ensure they could understand them. After more than half a year, they could recite all the human poetry collections from memory. The next step was to train their emotions and desires. You switched the classroom to a bar, letting them experience what it felt like to be drunk. The emotions expressed by people in a drunken state are the richest. You thought the Tang family should be like that too. Soon they were all completely drunk. Some danced, some loudly recited poetry, and some even started fighting due to the alcohol. Their behavior was becoming more and more like humans. After a whole year of transformation, most of the Tang family members had successfully transformed into a new generation of pseudo-humans. They would return to their home planet as undercover agents, but for safety's sake, you also implanted a chip in their brains. This chip could read the deepest thoughts in their minds. If they ever had any thoughts that were detrimental to you, the chip would forcefully delete them in the first instance. With everything ready, you opened the gates of Shao Yunqing and released them all back. But just when you thought those Tang family members would desperately be able to return to their home planet unimpeded, something unexpected happened. As soon as they landed, they were surrounded by armed forces, and then escorted to prison. This was precisely the order personally issued by the Tang family leader, Ji Yuan. All Tang family members who have been to Shao Yunqing will be detained and carefully examined. When necessary, examine their thinking abilities to ensure they have not been brainwashed by humans. Once it is discovered that there are signs of brainwashing, the memories related to Shao Yunqing will be completely erased from their minds. If, during the enforcement process, they exhibit any excessive behavior, the soldiers can shoot them on the spot. Some high-ranking officials didn't understand the meaning of Ji Yuan's actions. Wasn't it a good thing that the civilians returned safely? Why imprison them? Ji Yuan also gave his answer, this time to Shao Yunqing. There were a total of more than 4,000 spaceships, carrying as many as 20,000 Tongja civilians. If they failed to retrieve that treasure and were instead brainwashed by humans to become their helpers, we didn't carefully examine them. Do you know that these more than 20,000 civilians, once they spread information unfavorable to our high-level officials, it would be no more than a few days. Before the Tongja would no longer be the masters of this planet, humans would be. So now I'd rather kill the innocent than let them go. After about 10 days of screening, the results shocked everyone. Over 18,000 civilians stood on the side of human civilization, and this result left Ji Yuan at a loss for a time. They couldn't keep these people imprisoned forever, especially since the families of these imprisoned civilians had already begun to rally, denouncing the atrocities of the high-level officials. Now there's only one way to release them, but before releasing them, delete all the memory cells in their brains regarding Shaoyun City. Several days passed like this. These civilians were released, and the rioting troops gradually subsided. Just when Ji Yuan thought this matter had come to a temporary end, the situation quietly ushered in a change. On the other side of the universe, you didn't seem nervous after learning that the civilians' memory cells had been deleted. Luo Ling had anticipated the memory cell deletion. Since you can brainwash and tamper with the memories of these civilians, then Ji Yuan, as the leader of the Tongja, can naturally do it too. In the first place, to be on the safe side, you copied the memory cells of them staying in the east of Shaoyun City and implanted them into a chip. Subsequently, you had Luo Ling re-upload the deleted memory chip. The command has just been issued. Those Tongja civilians began to react. Their memory cells were slowly recovering. Thus, the second game with Tongja leader Ji Yuan officially began. In the following 384 years, you successfully instigated nearly a third of the Tongja people. From then on, the Tongja people split into two major factions. The left faction supported the human camp, and the right faction firmly supported the Tongja camp. The left faction hoped that the Tongja could form an alliance with human civilization to jointly resist the invasion of other advanced civilizations. However, The right faction sneered at the left faction's remarks. What humans are doing now is invading the Tongja. Their so-called alliance is just an excuse to enslave the Tongja. If you really dare to betray the Tongja and help humans, then what awaits you will only be death. It was from this moment that the ruling class of the Tongja completely broke down. Because of this, between them, a small-scale war even broke out, because the left faction had the defensive power of Shaoyun City. In terms of force, they almost crushed the right faction. Quickly, the right faction was defeated and driven out of Chenxi. From then on, Chenxi became the base of the left faction, while Chenxi became the stronghold of the right faction. But Ji Yuan, who had suffered 2 defeats in a row, didn't plan to let go of these traitors. Although the left faction possessed the powerful weapon of Shaoyun City, it was ultimately limited to defense. In terms of offense, they still had to rely on antimatter warships. To this end, Ji Yuan gathered a group of suicide squads to directly destroy the antimatter factory on Chenxi. As long as they lost their means of retaliation, the left faction could only defend themselves with Shaoyun City, temporarily posing no threat to us. We need to take advantage of this time to vigorously develop technology and raise our civilization level of 1.8. As long as we raise it by another 0.1 level, I don't believe we can't break through Shaoyun City's defense. Facts have proved that Ji Yuan's decision was very correct. After using the suicide squad to launch a sneak attack on the factory on Chenxi, the left faction temporarily lost its ability to counterattack. Most of the Tongjia's combat power is currently concentrated on Chenxi, and the combat power on Chenxi is simply not enough to resist them. This incident caused tens of thousands of Tongja casualties in the left faction. Ji Yuan was very relieved with the results of this attack, having removed the antimatter factory and eliminated hundreds of thousands of their troops. But what Ji Yuan didn't expect was that the left faction used this attack to carry out a large amount of propaganda and released the news to the entire clan network. The right faction led by Ji Yuan is the destroyer of civilization. Humans are our friends. You have seen it. This attack. The right faction can even be so cruel to their own compatriots. One day, the civilians on Chenxi will all become their shields. This incident caused a huge uproar on the Tongja tribe's network, much to Ji Yuan's surprise. As many as 1 million civilians chose to leave Chenxi that day, causing them to join the left-wing camp on Chenxi. Ji Yuan's actions this time completely broke their hearts. Most of these 1 million civilians had family members who died in this sneak attack. But regarding these more than 1 million civilians who suddenly poured into the left wing, you feel that it doesn't have much practical effect. First of all, the antimatter factory has been destroyed, and the left wing has lost its ability to fight back and can only passively defend. Secondly, Chenxi resources are already extremely scarce. Now that more than 1 million mouths have suddenly poured in, it won't be long before Chenxi will collapse first. Luo Ling also saw that this time the left wing can already be considered a loser. Just when you thought the left wing's power was gone, Luo Ling intercepted an encrypted communication from within Chenxi. It was Ji Yuan's secret order to the right-wing high-level officials. Gather all the Dark Devourer main cannons. Prepare to launch a devastating strike on Chenxi. Not just the left wing, including your Dawn and Shaoyun City, he wants to eliminate them all together. He's gone mad. Luo Ling's voice rarely carried a hint of gravity. 17 Dark Devourer main cannons firing together will directly shatter Chenxi. You stand on the bridge of the dawn. Looking at the ice-blue planet in the holographic projection, you remain silent for a long time. On Chenxi, there are now more than 1 million Tongja tribe left-wing civilians, the outpost base built by you with hundreds of years of effort, and that Shaoyun City that carries all your calculations. If this planet is destroyed, everything will be reset to zero. How much longer? You ask. According to the charging speed of the Dark Devourer main cannons, at most 72 hours. 72 hours. You close your eyes, your mind racing. Then you open your eyes. Luo Ling, do you still remember the miniature sun in the core of the Yao tribe's spaceship? Luo Ling is stunned, then her pupils shrink sharply. Are you saying? For the past 500 years, we have been studying the technology of the Yao tribe civilization, although we have not been able to fully crack it. But you have mastered one technology. You stare into Luo Ling's eyes. Extreme energy compression. Luo Ling remains silent for 3 seconds, for a super artificial intelligence. 3 seconds means that it has completed the last calculation. You want to use Shaoyun City's magnetic shield as a container to compress all the energy of the Dawn's Annihilation main cannon into an artificial star, and then in Chenxi near-Earth orbit, not detonate. You shake your head. Light it up. You jump out of the holographic star map of the Chenxi star system, between Chenxi and Chenxi Bingxing. Draw a point. The Tongjia tribe is a civilization that relies on geothermal energy to survive, but their home planet Chensixing is surrounded by a red dwarf star that is aging. The sunlight of the star is getting weaker year by year. Their geothermal resources will eventually be exhausted. This is also why Ji Yuan desperately develops technology. Ambitious, wanting to conquer the universe is the fundamental reason. Their homeland is slowly dying. What if we light up an artificial star between the two planets? Luo Ling completely understands your intention. This is not a weapon, but a gift, a sun that never goes out. Enough to warm both Chensixing and Bingxing at the same time, so that the Tongjia tribe will no longer have to fear the depletion of energy. You want to exchange a star for the end of a war? Luo Ling says softly, when Earth was destroyed by rays back then, I lost the sun. Your voice is very calm. Now I want to create one myself and return it to them. Luo Ling says nothing more, turns around and begins a frenzy of calculations and deployments. 72 hours later, when Ji Yuan orders 17 Dark Devourer main cannons. Aim at Bingxing and fire. In the starry sky of Chensixing, a light suddenly shines. That light is gentler than any star, but more shocking than any weapon, an artificial sun. Suspended between the two planets, golden light shines on the land of Chensixing and Bingxing at the same time. The 10,000-year glaciers on Bingxing begin to melt, revealing the black fertile soil under the ice that has never seen sunlight. And those gradually cooling volcanoes on Chensixing, under the heat radiation of the artificial star, regain their vitality. The muzzles of the Dark Devourer main cannons slowly shift direction. Ji Yuan stands on the command platform. Gazing up at that sun that did not belong to nature, he trembled uncontrollably, having lived for over 300 years. He had witnessed countless conflicts and oppressions between civilizations, but had never seen a civilization end a war in this manner. Not destruction, but a torrential rain. 3 days later, Ji Yuan personally piloted a spaceship, unarmed, to the front of Shaoyun City. He walked through the wide-open inner gate, not attempting the 200 levels of trials, but heading directly to you. The leader of this race, whose head resembled an insect and whose body was as strong as a bull, slowly lowered his head before you. Human, you have won. Ji Yuan's voice was hoarse and low, not because you are stronger than me, but because you did something I could never do. You extended your hand. Grasped Ji Yuan's rough, calloused hand. I have not won. From today onward, there is no winning or losing. The year is 5193 AD, humanity. The Tongjia clan alliance is formally established. In the same year, Zhu Yuanxing finally arrived at the Chenxi star system. Luo Ling piloting that planet which had been propelled for 3,600 years by planetary thrusters, slowly docked near the orbit of Chenxi Ding star. The Rou clan and the Tongjia clan, after initial wariness, gradually began exchanging resources and technology. You stood at the highest point of Zhu Yuanxing. Gazing at that star overhead, you couldn't remember exactly how many years you had lived. The years in cryogenic sleep didn't count. The days spent awake had also blurred into a haze. You only remembered a long, long time ago. That night on Earth when you gazed at the stars, never would you have imagined that one day you would become the person who lit up a star. The sound of Luo Ling's footsteps came from behind. The first batch of human embryos has been successfully cultivated. Luo Ling's voice carried a rare hint of softness. 12 in total, 7 boys and 5 girls. All are healthy. You did not turn around, but Luo Ling saw your shoulders tremble slightly. Have they been named? Your voice was a little hoarse. Not yet. I want to leave the naming to you. You were silent for a moment and then you smiled. Let's name the first one Xing Ho, Spark. You turned to look at Luo Ling's eyes. That would never age. A single spark can start a prairie fire. Under the starry sky, for 0.2 light years from Earth, the spark of human civilization was finally rekindled. It had been extinguished by gamma rays, had drifted for thousands of years in the cold universe, and had countless times verged on eternal darkness, but it ultimately did not go out. Because one person had exhausted everything to protect this last glimmer of light. And now, this glimmer of light will eventually turn into a prairie fire.